Hello, my name is Wasif Hassan, and in today's presentation, I would be explaining the Keynesian idea of nominal wage rigidity. So basically, the Keynesians have tried to explain the non-neutrality of money through two different ideas, i.e., the nominal price rigidity and the nominal wage rigidity. So the focus of today's presentation is the nominal wage rigidity.
So, with the nominal wage rigidity, the idea is that the Keynesians they basically emphasize on the idea that the money is non-neutral in the short run, but it becomes neutral in the long run. So, to explain the idea of non-neutrality of money, Keynesians use two models to explain their idea of non-neutrality of money. The first one is the nominal price rigidity. Because they say that the prices are sticky in the short run and they only adjust the price level adjusts in the long run. So they explain it through the nominal price rigidity and the nominal wage rigidity. So the topic for today's presentation is basically the nominal wage rigidity, and the idea of nominal wage rigidity says that in the short run wages are sticky and they do not adjust when there is a change in the price level or there is a change in the output. So the idea is that, for example, in a short term fluctuation, firms would not be willing to change the nominal wages that they have set because of nominal no change in the nominal changes and a change in the price level. The real wage decreases. So basically, why this happens because there is a long term labor contract between the firms and the unions. So the nominal wages have already been decided at a particular level due to the contract between the firms and these unions of these trade unions, right? So when the wages have already been set in the nominal term, it means that the aggregate supply curve would be upward sloping. So why is the aggregate supply curve upward sloping? The reason behind that is that, for example, if we take the example of United States, in United States, most of the labor contracts that specify the employment conditions or the employment environment, and that is achieved by the bargaining between the trade unions and the firms themselves. So after that bargaining and that process, uh, a particular nominal wage is set, and that nominal wage which is set by the bargaining of the firms and the trade unions, they are mostly set for a particular period of time. For example, they are usually set for 3 years in United States. So once there is a particular nominal wage, this basically entails the idea that the nominal wages are fixed for a particular amount of time. What we assume here is the short run. The nominal wages are fixed in the short run. So now employers decide the working hours and take the decision of laying off workers. For example, in an economy in which the price level increases, for example, by or the money supply increases by 10%, right? So in that sort of an economy, now the nominal wage is fixed, but it is the decision of the employer, the owner of the firm, or the one who controls the number of labor that are going to be employed. It is his or her decision to decide the number of working hours and whether they want to lay out the workers or not. But what happens is that because nominal wage is already fixed at amount W, and so because there is a long term or a short term labor contract between the firm and the trade union, so it means that nominal wage can't be changed. This in turn gives to the idea that because price level is increased and the real wage is decided by W divided by P, which means that nominal wage divided by the price level, uh, basically now the numerator is fixed, which is W, because the nominal wage is fixed. But if there is an increase in the price level, this basically leads to the idea that the real wage decreases because the denominator increases but the numerator doesn't. So because the numerator is already fixed, so the real wage decreases. So the idea is that when the real wage decreases, firms start demanding more labor, and when they start demanding more labor because of lower real wage, because low real wage is inversely proportional to the labor demand. So with the increased demand for labor, the output supplied would be increased, because when employment increases, more workers would be employed. They would be producing more output, And when they are producing more output, obviously more output is being supplied in the economy to the for the consumption of the consumer. So this in turn can be summarized in the idea that an increase in the price level increases the output supply. That is why the SRAS curve, or the short-run aggregate supply curve, has an upward has is upward sloping. Okay, so now the graphical one graphical example of this idea of wage rigidity. So we already, as I have already mentioned, that this idea of real wage rigidity is a Keynesian attempt to explain the non-neutrality of money. So let's take this example that, for example, there is a 10% increase in the money supply. Now a 10% increase in the money supply. Let's move to the graph now. We know that the output is shown on the horizontal axis and the price level on the vertical axis. So we know that this is the ADAS model. This is the aggregate demand. This is the original aggregate demand one. And before the 10% increase in the money supply, then there is this short-run aggregate supply, which is upward sloping, which I've already explained the reason for its upward sloping. Okay, so this is the long-run aggregate supply curve, and we know that the this is the point E where the economy is in the equilibrium, right? So when there is a 10% increase in the money supply, what basically this means is this basically means that the aggregate demand curve would shift to the right. So we know that a 10% increase in the money supply is going to reduce the real interest rate, and a reduced real interest rate basically means that the investment would increase and the savings would decrease and the consumption would increase, which would in turn shift the aggregate demand curve to the right. So the aggregate demand curve shifts upwards into the right, and now it becomes this AD2 curve. And now what happens is that because the aggregate demand curve has shifted upwards to the right, um, the economy has come to a new level, that is the point F, which is greater than the full employment level that is shown by Y bar, and it is now producing at the economy is producing output at Y2, and the price level was previously P1. Now the price level has increased to P2. So why is there non-neutrality of money? So in a classical model, the it would be argued that the short-run aggregate supply is horizontal, and that an increase in the money demand or an increase in the money supply is not going to have any effect on the economy, because the economy is going to return as quick as possible to the its original equilibrium point with the same level of output, but the price level would be higher. Okay, so in this Keynesian model, there is non-neutrality, because at this point, what's happening is, uh, although the price level has increased, but the Keynesians argue that the nominal wages are fixed. And because the nominal wages are fixed, and an increase in price level basically means that the real wages have decreased. Now, the economy is not going to adjust uh, to the original output level of Y bar, because there is a real wage rigidity. This real wage rigidity, as I explained, originates from the labor contracts, the long term, the short term or the long term labor contracts between the unions and the firms, and the economy is going to stay at the point F in the short run. So in the classical model, the economy is going to quickly return to the original output level. But with the Keynesian model, they say that there is this wage rigidity, because the nominal wages are fixed. So the economy is going to stay at the point F in the short run, and it's this is the short run equilibrium point. Now, what happens in the long run is that when these labor contracts, when they can be changed and they can be altered, the nominal wages change according to the new price level, and the short run aggregate supply shifts to SRAS2, and gets the economy back to the this point H, which is the at the original output level. So what has happened is, because there is the on the newer AD curve, every price level is 10% higher for every given level of output. But now the because SRES has shifted backwards, because the nominal wages have changed according to the price level. So the real wages, which is given by the nominal wage over the price level. So when the nominal wage increases by price level increases by 10%, in the long run, the nominal wages also increase by 10% and bring back the real wage to the original level of real wage. Okay, so um, this is what is the idea behind the nominal wage rigidity. Okay, so I'll summarize it now. And the idea is that the nominal wages are fixed in the short run because of the labor contracts. So now, if the price level increases, for example, because of an increase in the money supply, which shifts the AD curve to upwards to the right, what happens is that the economy goes from point E, which is the original equilibrium point, to the point F. Now, in the classical model, the classicals argue that there is no need for government intervention because the economy is going to shift back to its original output level as quick as possible, or very quickly. But in the Keynesian model, the economy is going to stay stuck at the point F, which is not the full employment level, or which is above the full employment level of output. So that is the point F, and the short run equilibrium stays at point F. But it is only in the long run that the economy shifts back to its original output level. So the idea basically is that the money is non-neutral in the short run, but it is neutral in the long run. What this basically means is that in the short run, the economy is going to stay at an equilibrium, which may be uh, beyond, or maybe beside the, or maybe before the original level of output, or the full employment level of output. And the economy, because money is non-neutral, economy is not going to stay at its general equilibrium in the short run, but in the long run money is neutral. And the because the nominal wages alter according to the price level, so they increase similarly to the same extent, or by the same intensity, or by the same percentage as the real wage, as the price level, and the real wage returns back to its original level, or the original amount. And economy goes back to the y bar, which is the original level of full employment level of output, with a higher price level, the price level of p3. So I've explained through the graph the working of the non-neutrality of money, and the explanation of non-neutrality of money in the short run through the uh, uh, nominal wage rigidity. So what are some of the objections to this model? So first objection is that there is the idea that not all labor force is going to be in long-term contracts. There might be, like in the United States, only 1/6 of the laborers are are form the part of the unions and the long-term contracts with their firms. But the idea is that it's not necessarily true, because when there is the existence of unions, there is also the idea that a lot of workers that are not part of these unions, and are not bargaining with the firms, they're still going to receive the wage rate that is fixed by the unions. Second objection to this model is that the nominal wages are sometimes tied to the cost of living adjustment. Uh, the index They are indexed with the price level. So in that case, the cost of living adjustments are the nominal wage is going to change with the cost of living adjustments. So this is one of the another objections to the model, that the wages are not rigid, because they change according to the price level indexes. And then there is this third and the last objection to this model, that the real wages are counter-cyclical, because this model explains that with the increase in the price level, the real wage decreases. But it is not in line with the real business cycle theory, which says that the real wages are pro-cyclical. So the idea is, when the wages are result from when this price increase in price level results from a supply shock, it's going to be pro-cyclical, and the real wage is going to increase. But with a, demand side shock, the real wages are going to be counter-cyclical. So that sort of uh, balances this objection against this model. So with this, I end this presentation here. Thank you so much.